So now what I want to look at is this part with argument from authority here is going to be the notion of scripture as an authority. So in this sense, with scripture as an authority, we have a variety of things to ask ourselves. For instance, from scripture you get various views, propositions. They're rarely clear. Scripture may say something like love thy neighbor, but it doesn't really tell you exactly what that means, right? Does that mean, equal rights, or what is the understanding of love? That doesn't really say anything about labor laws or any of these kinds of things. So my point here is a fairly simple one: is even though a sentence may seem to be clear, its implications really aren't. And so immediately you're not really being told exactly what something means. You're starting a ground or a process of interpretation, which is fine, but realize that it's not literally laid out. You are bringing something to the work, to the text, and interpreting. So there arises various schools of how to read these. So authorities, in some sense, can be there, but it's not clear in what sense you're getting what view or proposition. It's a matter of interpretation, and there are various schools on how to read these works. Now, another problem with thinking about authority when it comes to text, and you're going to be using text to support arguments of your own, is you're going to be careful about cherry picking, right? Is saying that, where you claim some view is in there, where actually when you read the document itself, the view is not there. It might be your view, and you're bringing it and claiming it's there. And what you're doing is you're going through the document, finding just random pieces that happen to support your view. Well, that might be not a bad argument in some cases, but it can easily fall into cherry picking if it's just sort of random, sort of gathering up little bits and pieces that seem to look like what you're saying the view, what you're saying that the text as a whole contains. So be careful about cherry picking and then saying that these various things that you found actually, are supporting your argument. They might in some cases, but sometimes it might be just a random act of yours, just picking them out. This is also quite a common problem. Now, the another one that comes up a lot is taking a very clear position and then saying it's clearly stated again in scriptures. This is often very difficult to prove, okay, in a very strict sense of the term. So again, what I'm saying here is that even if you admit, shall we say, let's sum it up this way, even if you admit that there's an authority here, you're often forced back on that it's rarely clear in exactly what it says. So if that's the case, now, in order to get the link clearly from the authority back to the results, there's a lot of this going on that you're relying on. So in that sense, you want to ask yourself, what are you bringing in to the discussion that's not in the text? That is, what's in your interpretation here that allows you to move from this to some kind of view or saying that it's supported? So even if I were to grant you a particular authority, like scripture, I'd say, yeah, okay, there's truths in there. I could still, differ quite substantially with you on whether or not what you're saying is there, or whatever you're trying to pull out and say it supports a certain position. And we all know that these kinds of documents, a variety of faiths or whatever, have been read in very different ways. And so that's the point that's often missed, is that even when we agree on the authority, we can disagree on what the authority is actually saying, because we come at it with a different interpretation. So be careful of that, be mindful of that when you're using a work as an authority, and you will be doing that, using some scholarly work as an authority on another thing, and that you're going to be bringing in some of your interpretations of this, and so I'm looking for you to support that as well.